Today on the Global AI Policy Podcast, we are diving into another thought-provoking article by tech publicist and AI policy analyst Anita S. The title of the piece we're discussing today is Why AI-Generated Music Needs Its Own Genre and Why That's Good for Everyone.
And honestly, this topic it's just so timely. It feels like we're right at the center of this huge collision between art, technology, and ethics.
It really does. I mean, I can't even scroll my feed without seeing some new song that's blowing up, everyone loves it, and then surprise, the artist isn't a real person.
It is absolutely the Wild West right now.
Yeah.
You've got songs hitting the top of the charts without, a single human vocal cord being used. The whole industry is just scrambling.
Scrambling is the perfect word. It's just chaos. And that's what I loved about this piece from Anita. She's not arguing that AI music shouldn't exist. She's basically saying, look, that ship has sailed.
And that's the most important place to start. If we just debate whether it should exist, we're missing the point. The tech is already here.
Yeah, right. So the mission for this deep dive isn't to relitigate that. It's to look at the framework she's proposing.
Exactly. How do we categorize it? How do we label it? And this is the part that I found really fascinating. Why does she think a new label is actually a win-win for everyone?
A win-win. Yeah, let's put a pin in that, because my first instinct is that, labeling something is like putting it in a box. It feels like gatekeeping.
For sure.
But she completely flips that idea on its head. So before we get to her solution, let's just talk about the mess we're in now. What is the status quo?
The status quo is just ambiguity, total confusion. You've got these AI songs being released at scale. They're promoted just like regular records.
And they're sitting right next to human artists on playlists.
And the reaction, as Anita describes it, is this mix of, excitement, anxiety, and just confusion.
I can imagine.
But there's a really critical distinction she makes right at the beginning of the article, and I think a lot of people miss this.
Yeah.
We have to separate the idea of human creators using AI as a tool from these entirely synthetic AI-generated artists.
Okay, let's break that down, because I feel like that line gets blurred all the time. A tool's like, what, a producer using software to clean up a vocal track?
Exactly. Or like a songwriter using an AI to brainstorm a couple of rhymes. The human is still in the driver's seat. The AI is just a co-pilot. That's just the natural evolution of music production.
It's like synthesizers or auto-tune. It's just another piece of kit.
Right. But that's not what's causing all the anxiety. We're talking about the fully synthetic stuff.
Ghost in the machine.
Yes. We're not just talking about a song made by a computer. We're talking about so-called artists with names, with backstories, with entire personas. But there's no actual person there.
This is the catfish part of it. And okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second. If the song is good, do I really care if the artist is real? I mean, Daft Punk wore robot helmets for years. Why does it matter?
That is the big question. And Anita argues that you do care, even if you don't think you do. Because under those helmets, Daft Punk were still, two human guys with real emotions and experiences.
Right.
When you connect with a sad song, you're assuming the person singing it has felt sadness. There's a shared reality there.
So I'm kind of consenting to an emotional contract.
Exactly. And if you find out later that the heartbreak you were feeling was just an algorithm that scraped the internet for sad words, you feel cheated. It's deceptive.
It's like buying a fake designer bag. I mean, it still holds my stuff, but the story behind it, the value, is gone.
That's it. That's the perfect analogy. It's not about the function of the music. It's about the origin of the emotion. The problem isn't that the music is artificial. It's that the identity is.
The lie, not the loop. That's a really powerful way to put it.
And we already do this everywhere else. We label documentaries differently than fiction films. We separate sponsored content from real journalism.
Oh, like with clothes. Synthetic versus natural fibers. I might want a polyester shirt because it doesn't wrinkle, but if you sold it to me as silk, I'd be mad.
That's her entire point. The label gives you context. It lets you know what you're engaging with. It's not a judgment, it's just truth.
So the big proposal is to create a specific AI-generated music genre, like an actual category on Spotify.
Yes, a formalized space for it. Instead of trying to hide it, she says, we should lean into it.
But doesn't that just ghettoize it? I feel like the tech companies would say, you're just trying to slap a warning label on our stuff.
That's the fear, right? That people will just skip over any track that has an AI label on it. It's like the GMO sticker for your ears.
Contains artificial feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Anita has this beautiful line in the article. She says, transparency is not a judgment. Truthfully, it's a signal of respect.
I like that. A signal of respect. So what does that look like?
Nothing crazy. Just think of it like a little icon, some metadata.
Right.
It respects the listener by letting them make a choice. Do I want to hear a human story today? Or am I just in the mood for something a machine made?
It gives the listener the power.
It does. And sometimes you might prefer the AI. If I need some copyright-free study beats, I don't need to know that a human poured their soul into it.
That's a great point. But here's the part of the article that was my big aha moment.
Okay.
We've been talking about protecting the humans, our jobs, our charts, and that's usually where this conversation stops. It's all very defensive.
Okay, keeping him.
But Anita flips the whole thing around. She asks, is the current system actually any good for the AI creators themselves?
And the answer is a huge no.
Which is so counterintuitive. You'd think they'd want to be on the Billboard charts competing with the big stars.
So you think they do. But they're playing a game with rules that are totally mismatched for them. AI is competing in a system that was built around human constraints.
Human constraints. Break that down for me. What do you mean?
Well, just think about output. A human artist, even someone super prolific like Taylor Swift, can maybe put out an album every couple of years. And that's considered an incredible pace.
Right, because there's emotional labor. You have to live a life to write about it.
Exactly. There's real cost of creation that involves time and experience.
Okay.
An AI model, on the other hand, doesn't sleep, doesn't get writer's block. It can generate 10,000 songs in an afternoon.
So it's an infinite scale problem.
It's an infinite scale problem. If you put something that runs at 1,000 miles an hour in a race with a human, the race itself becomes meaningless. It's not just unfair to the human, it breaks the very idea of a race.
It's like bringing a motorcycle to the Tour de France. The motorcycle is an amazing machine, but if you cross the finish line on it, people are just going to boo.
That's the perfect analogy. And that's why there's so much backlash right now. It feels like the AI is cheating.
So if we give them their own racetrack?
Then the whole conversation changes. If AI is competing against other AI, we stop asking, does this sound human enough? And we start asking way more interesting questions.
Like what?
Like, how innovative is the system design? How skillful is the prompt engineering? How creative is the overall direction of the algorithm?
That's fascinating. It actually professionalizes the whole AI music scene.
It does. It creates its own standards of excellence. It gets rid of the cheating accusations because you're not trying to game a human chart anymore. You're trying to win the AI chart.
It gives the AI creators a place to be celebrated for what they are, instead of being attacked for what they're not.
They stop being the villains in the human story and get to be the heroes of their own story. And the article points out, we've seen this before with electronic music, with hip-hop.
Oh, totally. I remember when synthesizers first came out and people called it soulless because it wasn't a real instrument.
Exactly. Drummers were terrified of drum machines.
Yeah.
But eventually, electronic music got its own space, its own rules, its own way of being appreciated.
So AI is just the next step in that evolution.
It just needs a new framework so we can understand it on its own terms.
So if we follow this logic, are we going to see separate charts? A Billboard Hot 100 and, I don't know, a Billboard AI 100?
That's the implication, yeah. Separate genres, eventually separate charts.
Does that worry you? Does that, like, fragment the culture too much?
Anita's argument is that it doesn't fragment, it clarifies. A chart is just a measurement tool. And if the things you're measuring are fundamentally different,
You need a different tool.
you need a different tool.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you break the measurement. If a synthetic track gets to number one just because it was generated 1,000,000 times, what does number one even mean for the human who spent 2 years on their song?
Yeah, it devalues the whole currency.
It does. And I think the big takeaway here is that this isn't about picking sides. It's not human versus machine.
It's about building systems that reflect reality.
Exactly. The AI is here. That's the reality. So the choice is, do we acknowledge it with transparency, or do we blur all the lines and destroy trust?
And trust is everything in art. It really is. When you think about it that way, it just seems so obvious. Clarity helps everyone. The human artists, the AI innovators, and us, the listeners.
It's a commitment to integrity.
So let's look down the road. 10 years from now, we've got the labels, we've got the AI charts. What do you think happens then?
I think you have two thriving ecosystems. But I want to leave you with a question that the article sort of hints at. If we accept AI music as its own genre with its own charts, do we eventually see an AI Grammys?
Whoa, an awards show for algorithms.
And if we do, are we as a culture ready to celebrate a machine's creativity as something distinct from but equal to our own?
That is a wild thought. What would the acceptance speech even be?
Chuckles. Maybe the prompt engineer goes up on stage. but it really gets to the core of what we value in art. Is it the struggle behind it, or is it just the feeling the final product gives
And if
us?
a robot writes a song that makes me cry, am I crying for the robot or am I crying for me?
That's the question, isn't it? Anita seems to believe the origin matters, which is why the label is so important. But once it's labeled, who knows how far that genre could go?
It's definitely something I'll be thinking about. It's a brave new world out there.
A harmonious one, hopefully.
Well, we could probably talk about this for another hour, but we'll leave it there for today. Thanks for sharing this piece with us, Anita. And to our listening audience, thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Until next time on